supported Act 46 4 years ago in Johnson when we all merged, and Cambridge won't like me saying that. I sent a letter to Nicole. That letter was widely distributed within the state government folks. They created the law. School boards did not. So if you're still down there in Montpelier and you created the law, you get a little bit of resistance. Too bad, you created it. So either go in there and fix it so that it works for everyone, or back up what you created and have a backbone about it and make it work. We have Cambridge that didn't join for the third time. If they don't change the law, welcome aboard in July. We're still graduating students. Those students are still coming out of their elementary school. Like the VSBA, we sit there and look at the students. When I go in and talk to the kids, you're our future. So, you know, as far as my position on it, I still support it. I want Montpelier to have some backbone, and don't delay it. Because if you're going to delay it, you may end up with schools that were on the border. They may join in brand new lawsuits and try to get out of it. And what will that do? That'll just push the can down the road further. And where are we at then?
Okay,
So.
Diane?
Couple of things. One, when you put up that letter from the constituent, the first one, I was shocked that it was the same language I've been hearing for 5 years. And I'm shocked at the ignorance and the fact that it's so easy to say, kids will be hurt, the sky will fall. Well, where are the letters coming from all of those who merged, who are doing fine, and no children were harmed in the filming of Act 46? I mean, come on. So that I had to laugh, and then I was shocked. I don't think we're gonna get through to those folks. The people who are playing with kids' education are those school board members. It's not the law. The question you have is, should you testify? I believe that is one of the things you wanted to know about, is what is our will for testifying and what is your position? Just want to be clear about how I'm answering that, because I agree with what everybody else is saying and the struggles and all. I would not want to see you refuse to testify because of that pressure. I think it would look sort of bad for our membership if you testify and say, by the way, they're so schizo, they don't know which way they're going. I'm representing a group of people who, you know, have all of these disparate views. So I think that what you testify, what you say, needs to be clear, and I agree with the idea of going back to our mission and our vision, and of reminding the legislature of their duty at this point to get her done. Doesn't help my personal situation, you already know that. Right. Huntington's suing us, and that's another long story.
There's a lot of things in my life that I really land in the gray area, not on the black or the white side. And I feel like there's some pieces about this that make me still fall in the gray area. I went through 2 study committees with the towns in my SU, and so we've spent a lot of time studying and going through this and working together, and I agree with a lot of what Kim has said when we first started talking about this. And I stood in front of all of my community members and said that we have to follow the law and that we need to do this, and so my folks live in Cambridge, and so when I just talked to my dad the other night, and I said, I don't like being made an idiot. When I'm being made to look a fool in front of my whole community and surrounding communities. One of the things that we talked a lot about during our study committee is that for some reason, and I think this might be particularly in the state of Vermont, but we get really attached to our sort of school and school buildings, but yet a few summers ago, there was a really tragic ATV accident on the road that I live in, and there were kids in surrounding towns that were terribly injured, and one kid passed away. And the communities of those towns came together to support those families. And so we used that example a lot when we went through the study committee, that it isn't, we only care about the kids in this town, and I don't care about your kids over there. We need to learn to educate, to support these kids in our community, which may be a large portion of Franklin County, but really Vermont is not that big of a state. It's really educating the kids in the entire community of the state of Vermont. So I lean a lot towards I stood in front of my friends and family and I said, this is the right thing to do, and let's just get on with it. Because I sit on a board of 2 towns that have voted to merge and 2 towns that were forced in. And we've been treading water, and it sucks. And so, there's a big part of me that wants to move, like, let's get some work done and let's move forward. But I do, there's one town that's fighting tooth and nail. And there's another town that's like, holy mackerel, we didn't see this coming. And so there's a little part of me that thinks, well, those guys might need a little extra time to get accustomed to this idea because they didn't go through a study committee. They had no idea, they were totally blindsided that anything was gonna happen to them. So I feel for those folks, but having already started to lay some groundwork with them in the fall, they realize that we are not a nefarious board. We're not a big bunch of evil people that are coming in to take over their school or their school building or their teachers. So I'm still in the gray area.
Okay? Well,
I don't even know where to start because I have too many feelings because we've been in this involved too deeply, and we were one of those districts that, well, or 6 districts that were supposed to be the poster child. I'm 46, and it's been, you know, it's been 3 years, multiple 6 in different committees, and I definitely was one of those people that was sure that I wanted an alternative because I knew that we hadn't had enough time to build that community trust, and we hadn't started the process early enough. We didn't do the red and all of that. But when I look at this now, and I wanted to speak directly to what Dan said, is like, I feel like, you know, all these people that had really good intentions at the beginning become the very thing that we were fighting against, so self-righteous. They have all the answers now, and if making us not go to testify, I have to back up. So originally I was okay with us not testifying because we were wait for the injunction and have the AOE testify. But now we know what, you know, the court, we're not more knowledgeable than the court. Now we know that, so we have more information. So I feel like, you know, putting out more information out there is better. It's the Senate that is gonna make up their mind. And how this has affected our communities, I don't know, Dan mentioned, you know, those people that are being elected to these boards is for a reason. But you know, it's been really heartbreaking and wrenching to hear the comments of some of these people that are now being elected to these boards that you're supposed to, you know, as a board member or, you know, you should be the example to the next generation. You shouldn't be elected to a board, and it's more heartbreaking to see how many people voted for this particular member to join the U32 board when you're supposed to behave with integrity and courage. It doesn't matter what people tell you. And we teach this to our kids. It doesn't matter what people, it's how you react to that. And it's just, that's not who we are, and it's totally out of, our communities, as much as I wanted an attorney, we lost. We did not get the alternative. This is the law. Our job is to have a budget for our kids and let us continue the job. Our meeting was stable. I couldn't even get from these 2 lawyers that are, one not lawyer anymore, one used to be at the Attorney General's office, you know, like really, I had to get a 3/4 majority to let the lawyers speak, because we wanted to know what the harm would be for our district. We couldn't even get our lawyer to speak at our lawyer that we had hired, that we were paying to be at this meeting. He couldn't even speak at the meeting until we spoke once, because we needed to vote every time or get 3/4 majority, because it was our town meeting. It's just not, it's not functional anymore. And what we, at least myself and some other people are getting, you know, burned down to, we're losing some of our board members. I want to get back to the good work that we were doing before, you know, like we were doing a lot in multi-tier supports. There's a lot of really good work. That's the work that I want to continue to do. Right now we have our quality committee in hold. We have all of this other committees in hold because we don't have, our transitional boards don't even have any. We did sort them in because we separate the meeting, so we were able to organize as a transitional board, but we had no authority because the meeting was stable. So now we have a meeting coming up, and we don't want that meeting table. As hard as it's gonna be to get this timeline done, we need to move on.
Okay, Gaston?